Welcome class to the Math 2020 supplemental video on line symmetry and plane symmetry. So first start with line symmetry, which means that we have a two-dimensional shape and we're going to draw a line down the middle and so that it matches on either side of the line. So when you fold up the 2D shape, you have a match. Okay, so that's what lines of symmetry are. And even though we're going to do lines, I'm going to call them lines, but they're actually segments that you see here. So this is a segment because it doesn't have any arrows at the end. So we'll call them lines of symmetry anyway, even though they are just segments. So we can call them segments of symmetry if you would like. In the first one, we have a low-level type question where it's just identifying lines of symmetry or segments of symmetry. Okay, so which ones have the correct line of symmetry drawn? Well, we have this first one. And then we have this second one, okay, because the first one, because this line part of the arrow will match this part, and that point will match that one if it's folded in half. And we're going to fold this in half this way so that this part matches, that vertex matches that one, and that vertex matches that one. Okay, so those are two good ones. In part C, we don't have a line of symmetry here. Okay, so this one's not a line of symmetry because if we try to fold this in half, so we'll extend this line here, and then we have this one doesn't match over there. It'll actually come short. Get that X out of the way. So if we draw this here, this will come short. It'll become over here. Okay, so the actual symmetry will look something like that. Not that way. There we go. Okay, so it doesn't match. Okay, so we just put an X on this one. And this one also matches that, so that's good because this one will match up with this vertex will match up with this vertex here, and that side match up with that side. Okay, so we have 3 of the 4 are correct lines of symmetry. In number 2, we have a little bit of a higher level of activity where we're actually finding and exploring lines of symmetry. So we want to draw all the lines of symmetry here. Okay, so the first one has one line of symmetry straight down the middle. Okay. It doesn't have a second one. That's not a line of symmetry because they wouldn't match. Okay, so this would actually kind of come up that way. So we just have one line of symmetry here. In this next figure is our square. So in our square, we'll have lines of symmetry going this way. So up and down, left and right. And then we can split the vertices in half, but you can also split the sides in half too. Okay, so there's our lines of symmetry. We have 4 of those. Part C doesn't have any lines of symmetry, because if you go like this, or like this, or like this, they don't match. Then D has lots of lines of symmetry, so let's split each side in half. Each side in half goes this way, and I'll have 3 of those lines of symmetry that split the side in half. Now we split the vertex in half. Oops, I missed on that one. Okay, splitting the vertex in half. We have 3 more lines of symmetry for a total of 6 lines of symmetry. Okay. So we have 6 lines of symmetry there. And the next one is like a Pac-Man. And we could pretend that he's going to go eat some chomps. Chomp some little dots here. Okay, it's Pac-Man. But Pac-Man only has 1 line of symmetry. And goes right through his mouth there. Okay, so that this side folds in onto that side and it'll match up with his mouth. Okay, and here's the lightning bolt. The lightning bolt does not have any lines of symmetry. Okay. Try to cut it through here, maybe, then this will match here, but this part won't match here. Okay. So there are no lines of symmetry for here. And the lightning bolt reminds me of our wonderful friend Harry Potter. Okay, so we have sunglasses and a smile, nose, and lots of hair on his forehead. Goes all over the place, he says. Some might come down over there. Okay. No lines of symmetry though. In this next one, we have kind of a droplet of water. Okay, so it reminds me of the rain. Little raindrops coming down at that angle. Okay, one line of symmetry through the middle. In this figure H, we know that there's one that goes through here, but that's the only one it has because it doesn't work that way or that way or that way. Okay. And then our last one right here, which I'm going to go scroll down for. This is the same as this one down here. Okay, since Harry's in the way. We can draw lines of symmetry through the middles of these sides, diagonally through each of the other sides. Okay. So with this figure, there are 4 lines of symmetry. Okay. So is there not lines here? Yes, that one is good. No, those are good. Okay. This one's the only one that matches here. So if you match those sides, it'll work. If I drew a line of symmetry here, then this other side will look like a circle. This line of symmetry here. We'll have another like squiggle thing here, but it's too short. Okay. The other part of this line of symmetry page has figures where they do half of the figure, and they use the dashed line as a line of symmetry. So let's take a look at this one here. From the line of symmetry, we have to match it. So this part here needs to go down to here. That is 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces away. 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces away from the line of symmetry. Then you got 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces away from the line of symmetry. So that matches there. So we're going to draw our other half of the rectangle like this. We'll go down that far. Okay, so there's that one. Same thing with this one. We have our line of symmetry here. And we want it to match. So this one we need to go 2 spaces away from our line of symmetry. And this one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces away. 4, 5 spaces away from our line of symmetry. And once we draw these out this far, these segments out this far, then we can just connect them because that's what happens over here. These segments are just connected. Okay. All right, so here's a triangle. We're going to flip it over the line of symmetry and make a quadrilateral. And so we have from the line of symmetry, this is the key point right here. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. You count the same amount. Okay. Then now you can bring that out here and make them the rest of the figure. Okay. In this figure here, we have a couple of turns in it. So let's go. There's our line of symmetry here. So we can go start with this point here. So 1, 2, 3, 4 away. 1, 2, 3, 4 away. And put the point here. Then we kind of go down to this way, and we got a point here. Okay, so this is a direction where we go 1, 2, 3, and then 3 to the right, and then down 1. 3 right, down 1. 1 down there. There we go. So we're going to do that here. So 1, 2, 3, down 1, put a point. Okay. And then we're going to draw in part of our figure since we're getting too bit complicated in here. So here's my figure so far. I'm showing you a few ways to do this. Now, what happens is that once we get to here, on this line of symmetry, we continue out this way to stop here. And that will be an easier line to draw because it goes the same direction. And then we connect it back over here. So we got our other halves in a few different ways. Let's take a look at this one. Is there another shape that has the same number of lines of symmetry as a circle? Well, how many lines of symmetry are there in a circle? We can see that we can draw any line of symmetry through the circle, and you get it. Just go straight through the center. Okay, so we got lots there. Here's some more. And we can actually do this forever, right? Okay, so the answer is no, because there are infinite number of lines of symmetry in a circle. No other shape has an infinite amount. Okay, so that answers that question there. All right, we did our picture handout of lines of symmetry. So it's pretty straightforward. Just a reminder of how these things work. Here's a good question at the end that we can ask to make it more in depth. Going back up to here, in this picture I have 3 examples of regular polygons, okay? Regular polygons. So notice that this is a regular polygon. Oops, keep those on there. I'm gonna circle them in red, how about that? This is a regular pentagon. This is a regular square. And this is a regular hexagon. Notice that the hexagon has 6 lines of symmetry. It also has 6 sides and 6 angles. Oh, that's interesting. Let's take a look at our square. Our square has 4 lines of symmetry. It has 4 angles and 4 sides. Is that a coincidence that they're all 4s? Let's take a look at our regular pentagon. We didn't draw all the lines of symmetry in on this one, but here's one right here, right? Okay. We go from pentagon, goes from the point vertex, split the vertex, and then also through to the side, splitting that in half. So it's a little bit different than the even numbered polygons that are regular. Okay. And that's 4, and this is 5. Let's see here. This one has, the pentagon has 5 sides. Oops. It has 5 angles. It also has 5 lines of symmetry. So my question to you is, and we'll put it right in the middle here, will this be true for all regular polygons? Okay, in other words, will a heptagon have 7 lines of symmetry? Will an octagon have 8 lines? Okay, so point here, point here. Questions? Coincidence? I think not. It actually works out that it isn't a coincidence. Okay, you can always draw for every even number sided polygon that's regular, you will have half of the lines of symmetry. Let me go to purple now. Half of the lines of symmetry are going through the sides. let me try that again. Half the lines of symmetry are going through the sides. 1, 2, 3. Half of the lines of the square are going through the sides, so there's only 2 of those. Okay, that will be true for all even-numbered regular polygons. The other half of the lines of symmetry will be going through the vertices. So every polygon has the same number of vertices in the sides. Okay, so that means that they will have lines of symmetry there. Pentagon, as we discovered before, every odd-numbered sided polygon will have a line of symmetry going through one vertex and one side. Okay, so we'll split that, and it will have that many number. Okay, so yes, this is true. All right, hopefully that helps, and we'll move on to the next part. All right, class, here is the next part of our symmetry investigation. We have planes of symmetry now. Okay, so we're going to start with sketching in planes of symmetry. This is a tetrahedron, which is a triangular pyramid, 4 sides. This is a square pyramid. Next, we have a cube, and then finally we have the triangular prism. For the easier one is the cube, so we'll start with that one. Okay. A plane of symmetry is a plane that you cut this 3D shape, 2D plane that cuts the 3D shape into 2 equal halves. Okay, so what I can do is I can split my cube up from top to bottom. Split that in half that way. So I'm going to go to this first cube, zoom in here, split the first cube up top to bottom. And so to illustrate that, I'm going to draw these line segments here that split the top face in half. Okay, so I'm starting with the top face, split that in half. And what happens is that we can draw down the lines, segments, and then make a connection at the end. Okay, so that split this figure to left and right halves. Okay, and I'm going to use my color pencil to draw that in, to shade it in, because it's kind of like those slices, those 2D slices of 3D figures. So here's a connection to background knowledge. Okay, you can use the 2D slices of 3D figures to help. Okay. All right, I'm trying to erase that part here. Perfect. Okay. All right, so there's our first slice. So we can cut the cube into left and right halves. We can also cut the cube into top and bottom halves using a similar approach. Cut the front face into half like that. Then we're going to push the half to the back, okay, by following these segments here that are and keeping everything parallel. Then we're going to connect the back ones together here like this. Okay, so here's our plane of symmetry. It's a plane, a 2D surface that cuts the cube in half. Okay, it's like the 2D version of the line. Line is 1D, and then the 2D shape that we're splitting up into halves is the 3D. Is now 3D. Okay, so it's all in a new dimension, which is great. Makes it fun. Okay, so there's that one. So we split our cube up into left and right halves, top and bottom halves. How about front and back halves? Okay, so the front and back. So we're going to take this face here. I'm going to split it in half that way. And then we're going to keep going. Okay, to make front and back halves. So we split up. There we go. Front and back halves. So we're going to use our shading here, our color pencil to shade it in. Front and back halves. And then we're going to use the segment here. We're going to undo that segment there and cover that one. I drew over it. Okay, so there's our slice. Okay, so we have front and back, left and right, and top and bottom. Okay, so that's all the three ways to slice up your cube in that way. Now we're going to have to get more creative, and you can actually slice your cube from diagonally as well. Okay, so all of this stems from the way you can cut the top face or the front face. Okay, so if you cut the top face in half, it cuts the front face in half, and the back face in half, and the bottom face in half. Okay, so this is the way that the top face was cut. If we take as a guide other ways to cut the square top face into equal parts through a line of symmetry, here's one way we can do it, by going diagonal. Okay, so we can go diagonally across the top face. So start here, go all the way here. Okay, and we have our figure. Cut in half, and we're going to continue going down. Now, we cut the top in half that way, and we pull it down. Now, that will run into these sides here, these edges here, as we pull down and split it into two parts, which is okay. Okay, so here we're going to color it in. We split the top half horizontally and vertically. Then now we did it diagonally, but there's other diagonals that we can use, another diagonal. Okay, so we split it that way. Okay, so there's our figure here. Fill that in a little bit more. All right, so there's that. Now, we've cut the top diagonally from the bottom left to the top right. Let's cut it the other way, from the top left down to the bottom right. Okay, and these will come down, we'll pull those down here, down this side here. We'll connect them down at the bottom. Okay, and then we can shade in our plane of symmetry to help us see that. Okay. Then I'll erase part of the plane, perspective, this side here. Okay, so there's our next plane of symmetry. All right, so when we cut the top and the diagonally here, it cuts the bottom diagonally as well. So let's look for some more ideas. Let's go ahead and maybe the front face. Here we've cut the front face in half that way. Let's do the front face diagonally as well. Okay, so here's the front face horizontally and vertically. So let's go diagonally front face. So this one, start here and go down to here. Then come back out here. Come back around diagonally in the back, square, and then connect those two. Okay. And we shade. So we've cut the front diagonally, and that guided us to go back to the back and do that one diagonally as well. Okay, then we'll kind of erase out here. It's our edges there. Okay, so this back one here is diagonally from top left down to bottom right. Now we're going to go from diagonally from the top right to the bottom left. This one is the edge on. So we won't be able to see very much of this one. Okay, so let me start over. Edge on. So we're going to start here and go all the way up to here. Okay. Then we go from here all the way back to here. Same thing here. And then we connect the bottom and back. Right. So we can see a little bit of this thing right here, but it's really mostly edge on. Okay, so there's another way. And then we have two more ways. So we've cut the front diagonally, the bottom and the top of the front and the back. How about the side? Let's cut the side diagonally, like this way. Okay. So come up here, cut it this way, diagonally. And then we'll bring it from the right to the left part here. Okay, and then we shade it in. But it's possible that we already have this one. Okay, so if you might cut one and say, oh, I actually already have that one. And I doubled it. So let's check to see if we have this one already. Okay, do we have it already? Nope. We're good to go. Okay, we're going to go through here and just kind of clean that up a bit. Okay, so there's that one there. So I've cut this left side, right side diagonally. Let's cut the right side this way. Now, I think this is our last one. Cutting it down this way. Okay. And then we bring it over back here, across these. And then we'll cut diagonally this way. So we double check to make sure that we don't have this one yet. I think that this one might be one that we don't have. So we can kind of shade these in here. And check. Let's check to see if we have it already. Okay, so it looks like we don't. Okay, so there's 9 ways to draw planes of symmetry for the cube. That's why there's 9 of them here. And we think we got them all. Okay, here we are. Now we're moving on to the tetrahedron, now that we've done our cube. So we're going to take our tetrahedron and let's do color purple. Weaver's tape purple. And every face here, we can't like cut the tetrahedron like in half like this. Okay, we have to cut each face in different ways. So the tetrahedron face, like for example, the one that I see is most dominant is the one that's on the left here, working left to right. That's cutting that face in half this way. And we can cut the face in half this way. We can also cut the face in half this way. Okay, so there's 3 ways to cut each face. So we'll choose this first one and cut here. Then we will carry this segment through the figure. Okay, so if you cut the left face, the left front face in half this way, it will cut the bottom, the base, in half this way. Okay, and then we just have an edge here that we're going to cut. Okay, that will cut through the edge. So it'll cut through the faces and then we'll hit the edge and come on out. Okay, so here is our first plane of symmetry for the tetrahedron or the triangular pyramid. Okay. And we're going to, notice that we cut this part in half like that. Let's go to this next one and we'll cut it in half this way. So we go up and down from the first one, and then we'll go from this midpoint down to the point there. That's a little bit too off here. Let's go a little bit higher. So we can cut that segment in half. Okay, so it looks like this is about as good as we'll get. Okay, and then we will bring it through. So we're cutting this left face in half, and it will cut the back face in half this way. And then it will bring it to the edge this way. Okay. So there is our plane here. So zoom in and color it. Okay, so coming in here, we're going to fix this line here. Okay, so there's that one. Then we'll fix this line here. Because that front edge always comes through the front. Okay, so we have two faces here. So we've cut this triangle. Now there's three ways to cut this triangle. So we have one way here, and then we'll go to taking the middle of the front edge, the leading edge here, going down to the bottom. That'll cut this front right face in half, and the back edge right here will also be cut in half, or will be cut through there. Okay, so here's our color pencil. Color this plane of symmetry. Okay. Then we'll use our eraser again to erase out the front edge here. Okay, so here's our plane of symmetry there. All right, so that was 3 for the left face. Now we're going to split the front face into 3 parts. But we might have, if we split the front face into 3 parts here, 3 halves, and carry those lines of symmetry through to make planes of symmetry, we might duplicate. So for example, we're going to duplicate this one if we do that. So let's go ahead and avoid that one. But the first one, of course, will be from the top down to the middle of the bottom base. That'll be the easiest. That will cut the bottom, the base of the triangle. They'll cut the base of the tetrahedron in half as well, and it will coincide with this side here. Okay, so now we have this plane of symmetry. And we color that in. Okay, we use our eraser to fix on that. Oops. Let's try going down this way. That's better. Okay. All right, so we've cut the front right face vertically. Let's cut it. See, we can't cut it this way because that's like this one. So let's cut it the other way, which will go this way. Interesting, it doesn't want to cooperate. Okay, that's probably the best we can do. Okay, and then we'll cut the back. We'll cut the back face in half this way, and then we'll come this edge. This edge will be split in half as well. Okay, so now we can shade that in. Okay, we have the next plane of symmetry. Let's zoom in and get the eraser in on it. Okay, looking good. We got one more for the tetrahedron. Let's see here. How about the back face? The back face we didn't split in half. So some of it is split in half, like the back face is split in half, oops, this way, and the back face is split in half this way, but not from top to bottom. Okay, so we'll split the back face in half this way. And which will split the base in half this way. Whoa, cool. Okay, and then it will come out the front edge. Will also be split in half. Okay. And we just shade that in. Okay, now we have all of the tetrahedra. Now we're going to split up our square pyramids. Okay, and just like the tetrahedra, if we focus on one of the faces and split those in half, okay, different ways, then we can pull them up through the rest of the figure. So for example, we're going to take this square pyramid and take a look at the base. The base is a square, and we can split this base in half this way, starting from horizontally here. Okay, so we cut that base in half that way, and we'll bring it up through the figure, which means that we'll go from this point up to the vertex here, and this point will come up through the vertex as well. Okay, when we split that pyramid in half, we get a triangle. And let's change the colors for fun to green. Okay, and we'll shade that green as well. Okay, so here are the figures in plane symmetry here. Then we'll go ahead and move down the front edge. That'll come out in front of the plane. Okay, so we split the base in half horizontally. Let's split the base in half vertically now. Okay, and we bring it up through to the apex of the pyramid. And it looks like this one is following our edges here, because they're edge on there a little bit. But let's shade. Okay. All right, so there's that one. Next, we're going to split the base diagonally. We can split the base diagonally. So from like one end to the other. Okay. And when we do that, we pull it up back through the pyramid. So we have this one. That is a segment of our plane, and that's the other segment of our plane. Oops. Here we go. And we color that. The last one for the pyramid is going to be the base diagonally again, but we're going to go the opposite way. I'm going to start here, go all the way over to here. Okay, so yeah, it doesn't like that one very much, so let's just do this. There we go. And then we'll go up through the pyramid, so we'll come along this edge here. Come along this edge here. And then we shade. Okay, coloring is fun in geometry, right? Yes, indeed. Okay, getting that front edge out. We got our pyramids done. And last but not least, we have our triangular prisms. Okay, so let's get a new color for our tools. Let's do orange. Okay, and so for these triangular prisms, we're going to cut them in half with the plane. Okay, so the first one that comes out to me is just cutting the half like this. These rectangular faces, we can cut it in half. That way. Carry that through here. Good, and we shade in our triangle, our slice, our plane of symmetry. Okay, so there's our first one. All right, so let's go ahead and cut that one in half. And then let's go ahead and cut, we have 3 more, so we're probably gonna do some cuts like this, where we cut this in half this way, that one in half that way, and then this one in half this way. Okay, so let's do our first one there. Starting from the top down, cutting it in half that way. That will bring, and we pull it from the front to the back. So we can go out back that way. This one will also have a similar cut from the top to the bottom. And we bring it out this way. And then we shade. Okay. All right, and then we're going to use the eraser again on our leading edge. There we go. All right. So we've split the front face in half, top to bottom. Let's split it from diagonally, from the bottom to the top here. Now it's going to come along this edge here, and then we'll come out to the middle over here, and then we'll come back down to the middle here, and then we'll finish it off by coming to the front here. Okay. So there's not much to shade on here because we're edge on. Oops. That's the selection tool. There we go. Okay, so we edge on. And then that's good. This one. Tricky to do an edge on. Okay, so we've cut it vertically, the face vertically in the front, and then we cut it up into the right. Now we gotta cut it down to the right. Okay, so in this one we're gonna cut it this way. There we go. And that will cut the back face in half that way. Okay, it needs to be a little bit more parallel to that back face segment. Okay, that's better. And then come back down here and come across this edge here. Okay, and then we shade. So I do these very carefully because it's tricky to work with shady objects. You gotta be very careful. And we have it finished. Okay. All 4 ways to divide up the triangular prism. And here they are again for you to take notes on. Okay, please let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.